Here's something I hear from clinic owners all the time. We're great at the clinical side, but when it comes to actually closing patients on these higher ticket programs, it feels awkward. We don't want to come across as salespeople. And I get it. You got into healthcare to help people, not to sell them. The idea of closing someone on a $6,000 treatment feels gross. It feels like pressure. It feels like something a used car dealership does, not a healthcare provider. But here's the problem. If you can't effectively communicate the value of what you offer, patients who genuinely need your help are going to walk away. They're going to stay stuck in the same place they've been, not because your treatment doesn't work, but because you weren't able to help them see what's possible. So today I'm going to show you how to approach these conversations in a way that feels natural, ethical, and actually serves the patient. No manipulation, no pressure tactics, just a framework that helps the right patients say yes to something that could genuinely change their life. First, let's get something out of the way. Charging $5,000, $8,000, even $10,000 or more for a treatment program is not something you need to apologize for. Think about what people routinely spend their money on: cosmetic procedures, luxury vacations, cars that weigh more than they need to. People spend significant money on all the things that matter to them: relief from chronic pain, freedom from depression or anxiety that's been stealing years of their life, the ability to function, to be present with their family, to feel like themselves again. That's not a luxury, that's life-changing. The issue isn't the price. The issue is that most clinics don't know how to help patients connect the investment to the transformation they're actually buying. Because here's what people are really paying for. They're not paying for 12 sessions. They're not paying for a protocol. They're paying for who they get to become. They're paying for the version of themselves that sleeps through the night, that can focus at work, and isn't controlled by their symptoms anymore. When you understand that, that conversation changes completely. So how do you help someone go from "this sounds interesting" to "I'm ready to move forward"? It comes down to what I call belief sequencing. Before someone can say yes to a high-ticket program, they need to believe three things in a specific order. First, they need to believe that the change is possible for people like them, not just in general, but for their specific situation. This is where patient stories become incredibly powerful, not as a sales tactic, but a genuine evidence that people who once were where they are have gone to be where they want to be. Second, they need to believe that your approach is the right path to that change. This means understanding why your treatment works and why it might be different from things they've already tried. If they've been let down before, they're going to be skeptical. Your job is to help them understand what makes this different. Third, they need to believe that they are capable of doing this, that they can show up for the appointments, that they can commit to the process. They're not going to be the one person who it doesn't work for. A lot of patients have deep doubts about themselves, and if you don't address that, they'll talk themselves out of it. So throughout your consultation, you're gently building these three beliefs. Can people like me change? Is this the right path? Am I capable of doing this? Yes, that's the sequence. All right, so let's get practical. Here's a framework for structuring your consultation call that guides patients through this naturally. Stage 1, connect and understand. The first part of the call is all about them. You're asking questions and really listening. What's been going on? How long have they been dealing with this? What have they already tried? How is this affecting their daily life, their relationships, their work? Two things are happening here. You're gathering the information you need to know if they are actually a good fit for your program, but you're also demonstrating that you see them as a person, not a transaction. This builds trust before you've talked about anything clinical. Here's a sample of how this might sound. Before I tell you anything about what we do, I'd love to understand what's been going on with you. Can you walk me through what you've been experiencing and what has led you to reach out? And then you listen. Really listen. Don't rush the solution mode. Stage 2 is reflect and validate. Once they've shared, you reflect back what you heard. This is what is meant by emotional mirroring. You're showing them that you actually understood, not just the facts, but the emotional weight of what they're dealing with. Something like, so if I'm hearing you, you've been dealing with this for about 3 years now. You've tried a couple of different approaches that didn't really stick. And at this point, it's affecting your sleep, your focus at work, and honestly, your quality of life overall. Is this accurate? When someone feels truly heard, their guard comes down and they start to trust you. And that trust is the foundation of everything else. Stage 3, bridge to possibility. Now you can begin to shift the conversation from their current reality towards what's possible. This is where you might share a brief patient story, someone who is in a similar situation and what changed for them. You could say something like, what you're describing sounds a lot like a patient we worked with last year. She had tried multiple treatments before coming to us and honestly pretty skeptical that anything would work for her. About 8 weeks into her program, she told me it was the first time in years she felt like herself again. So you're not making promises, you're opening a window to possibility. You're helping them believe that change is possible for people like them. Stage 4. Now you can walk them through what the program actually looks like. But remember, you're not selling sessions. You're explaining the journey from where they are to where they want to be. Frame it in terms of what happens at each stage. What will they experience in the first few weeks? When do patients typically start noticing changes? What does a full arc of transformation look like? This reduces anxiety about the unknown and helps them see the process for themselves. Stage 5. Address the concerns. Before you ever get to investment, ask directly, what questions or concerns do you have at this point? Let them voice their hesitations. This isn't an obstacle. This is an opportunity to help them work through what's holding them back. The most common concerns you'll hear, it's a lot of money. Don't get defensive. Acknowledge that this is a significant investment, then help them weigh in against the cost of staying where they are. What is another year of this costing them? In quality of life, missed opportunities, in the toll it takes on their relationships? I need to think about it. That's completely fair. Ask what specifically they want to think through. Often there's a specific concern underneath this, and if you can surface it, you can address it. If they genuinely need time, give it to them, but schedule a follow-up before you hang up. I need to talk to my spouse. Totally reasonable. Offer to schedule a call with their spouse to join, or provide materials they can share. The worst thing you can do is let them re-explain everything by themselves. They won't do your treatment justice. Stage 6. If they seem ready, you invite them to take the next step. Not with pressure, but with clarity. For example, it could sound something like, based on everything you've shared, I really do think this can help you. If you're ready to move forward, I can walk you through exactly how we'd get started. What would you like to do? And then you wait. Let them respond. Don't fill in the silence with more selling. Now, just a quick note on something that happens before the consultation even starts. A lot of clinics struggle with people booking calls and not showing up. So here is how you fix that. First, confirm the appointment with a personal touch, not just an automated reminder. An actual message that references who they are and that you're looking forward to speaking with them. Second, give them something to do before the call. Maybe it's a short intake form. Maybe it's a video that explains what to expect. When someone has invested even a small amount of effort before the call, they're much more likely to follow through. Third, remind them what's at stake. Not in a manipulative way, but in a way that reconnects them to why they booked in the first place. Soft selling actually works really well in healthcare. Here's the thing. High pressure tactics might work for selling courses or coaching programs, but in healthcare, you're dealing with people who are often vulnerable, sometimes desperate, and understandably cautious. If someone feels pressured into a decision, 2 things happen. 1, they might say yes in the moment and then cancel or ask for a refund later. 2, they might say yes and then resent the experience, which kills any chance of referrals or testimonials. Selling high-ticket healthcare isn't about convincing people to buy something they don't need. It's about building belief. Belief that change is possible, that your approach is the right path, and that they are capable of doing this. If your team is struggling with these conversations, if you're getting plenty of consultations but not enough of them are converting, or if the conversations just feel awkward and salesy, this might be something that I can help with. I work with specialized healthcare clinics to improve exactly this part of the patient acquisition process. If you want to talk through what's happening in your consultations and see if there's a way to make them more effective, book a strategy call with me, links in the description. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.